Welcome everyone to Theme Park Workshop, the podcast. We are back, and I'm so excited. We're talking about first impressions of Halloween Horror Nights, and that's very exciting. We've been building up to this basically most episodes last season, so it's really, really good to actually get to that point. And you might be noticing that I'm saying we, and I haven't introduced who else is on this show, and there's a very specific reason for that. Is because today's a very special episode, and not just because of Halloween horrors. So, as if you've listened to the show in any capacity, if this is your first time, welcome. I'm Adam Johnson. Probably should have said that from the beginning. And this is Theme Park Workshop. But in our 20th episode, my co-creator and best friend in the world, Jonathan Edewaard, got the opportunity of a lifetime, his dream job to work for Universal Orlando Resort. As a result, unfortunately, but also very fortunately, he had to drop the show. And so we had a very special farewell episode for him and all that. But we had a lot of things in plans in the works. Like were like full momentum. And so I knew that Theme Park Workshop as a show, as a podcast, as a channel, still had a lot of gas left in the tank. And I didn't really want to let that go to waste. And so I knew I wanted to keep it going. But how to keep it going was kind of a question mark, but I knew there were a lot of things to talk about, and I knew there were a lot of people with whom to talk about this with. A few people came to mind, and if you've listened to the show in any capacity, you know who they are. Well, not specifically, but you have an idea. When I say who they are, you'll know who they are. And so I'm very happy to announce, I'm very excited to announce that the new co-hosts of Theme Park Workshop are Bella Harvey and Kelly Hoffman. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but before I do that, I do want to talk about why you should be super excited that they are now permanent parts of the show. Bella and Kelly both are super passionate about theme parks. Bella, for example, has an Instagram about theme park photography, which I love looking at. It's so good.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And then Kelly, whenever we talk, she's super knowledgeable about the parks, and she's got a pretty wide breadth of the parks. And Bella has a very specific, she has specific niches and what she knows and what she's passionate about and what she really invests in with the parks. And so with them on the show, and as you get to know how wonderful of people they are, because these are two very wonderful women, they're passionate, they've got unique points of view that I think will really help the show. And also I think it'll just make it a great show, different from the past, but also I think you'll get a lot of what you loved of the past with this new cast as well. But I think probably one of the most important things is they're so fun to have on. Every time we record, we're laughing because we've done, gosh, how many, 2-3 episodes together before now?
3? I think 3.
I think so too. Wow. But we always have a great time because they're so unique. They bring different things to the table. I remember what I was going to say. In the first 2 seasons, when Jonathan and I were doing, we joked a lot that this was basically a Universal Studios show. We should change the name from Theme Park Workshop to some other Universal Studios podcast, or something off of that. But I know going forward, this will not just be Universal, because for one, I think y'all are pass holders for all different parks, and you've been to different parks. You have experiences that I don't have, and Bella has experiences that Kelly and I don't have, and Kelly definitely has experiences that the rest don't have. So I think all these different points of view are going to be very valuable. But most importantly, I love how fun you are to have on the show, and I just love how wonderful you are. And so I'm very excited to officially announce that you're our new hosts.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh,
also,
as
a words of affirmation love language person, that was wonderful, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, that was so nice. Oh.
That's my favorite way to give affirmation. So I'm glad. I'm glad they were received.
I feel so honored.
Yes. A wonderful trio we have here.
Period.
Very much. Actually, a funny story. The last episode we recorded back in August, I think, when we were kind of hyping up, we had just gotten Little Boo, and there's the big shirt leak for Horror Nights. We were still in the lead up, but we recorded and we had such a great time. I was thinking about asking y'all to join the show then, but y'all asked me first if you could join the show. So it's very mutual.
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
That's
we're on the
amazing.
same wavelength.
we
Yeah.
are. And I bought that leaked shirt, by the way. I loved it so much in the
Good.
leak. I bought it. I'm so excited.
I'm going to, now that I'm back from New York and I don't have to save for anything, I will be buying everything.
Merch.
merch.
But I do want y'all to get to know Bella and Kelly themselves. I know you've seen them, or not seen, but heard them on the show before. But now this is the time to really get to know them. But I guess the first question I want to ask y'all, what got you into theme parks in the first place?
Kelly, you
start.
can go for it. Yeah.
I got you. So let's see. I have been going to theme parks since I was about 2 years old, if not earlier. I think I was about 2 when I went to Disney for the first time. And so I have been in love with Disney my entire life. And my parents, when I was younger, we would go back and forth. One year we would do Disney and one year we'd do Universal, but we would always have an annual pass somewhere. And then we would get the Busch Gardens fun cards since we were local in the Tampa Bay area. And that just kind of never stopped, especially because I went to college at UCF in Orlando. So I just continued going to theme parks all the time. People ask me constantly why I don't just live in Orlando since I'm there pretty much every weekend. And the answer is the traffic. But I just love the feeling that I get when I step into a theme park. It doesn't matter if it is a Six Flags or Disney World. I love theme parks in general. My husband loves theme parks, which definitely adds into what I love about them. We met on a dating app, fun fact, and he put in his bio about how much he loves theme parks, especially Disney World. And I was like, okay, swipe right. And then we fell in love.
Work.
I just love them.
Cute. Well, for me, I didn't really go to many theme parks as a kid. Like I went to Disney for my birthday when I was 5, and I loved it. And then I remember begging my mom every year for a pass. I wrote a 3-page essay my freshman year of high school on why I should get a Disney pass, and listed all the benefits of it and anyone I could go with. Like it was detailed. And then I got one and I've had it for about 5 years now. And I feel like what got me into it was like the vlogging community, because I feel like Tim Tracker, shout out to Tim Tracker. Love you, Tim.
Yes.
Like it's just like fun seeing other people's days and like seeing other things, like getting ideas of this. And like, so I was excited to do it. And then of course I fell in love with the photography aspect of it. I mean, I'm still doing it now. It's been 5 years. Because then you can like focus more on the performers and like that one little area, if that makes sense, because every theme park like has their own form of entertainment, so, and it's all different and it's just really fun. I think that's an answer.
Yeah I mean, vlogging is how I like, that's the way I went to theme parks if we weren't going on a summer trip or before I got my pass. Now that I have a pass, I don't watch them as much, but yeah, that's a similar gateway too. I think y'all talked about this a little bit already, but like, what do you love about the parks today? And that can be like specifically or just like overall. I think you talked about the overall, but I mean, if you have anything else to add on that, yeah.
Oh, I totally went into that question early. I'm trying to think of like specific things, like I don't know, like the atmosphere in general, which I think is why I'm like so big on Disney and Universal, is they do a really, really good job of that. Also, because I didn't talk about this, the food, honestly, as I get older, I feel like I appreciate the food more. Maybe not at some of like the lower budget theme parks, but like Disney and Universal have really stepped it up with food. And as an adult, I can appreciate that, even though I'm always down for a chicken nugget as well.
Yes, I feel that. I like basically kind of what you said too. I just love the vibes. Like I brought my homework and my laptop into Disney or Universal or SeaWorld so many times and literally just sat there and still had like the greatest day, because it's just like the vibes and the atmosphere and like going to get really good chicken nuggets or like some random dish from a different country at Epcot. Like it's just like you get to do so much, you get to see so much. It's fun. It's fun, even though it's hot. It's way too hot, but it's
So
fun.
hot.
Yeah.
Nice in Florida.
Mhm.
Although
Don't move to Florida.
Georgia is underrated for how much the heat sucks there. Six Flags for Georgia was not fun in that aspect, but another aspect, sure.
Just they need to make that dome over Disney World a real thing. Do it. I'll fund it. I'll build it myself. I'll build it myself
With your own
Michael
two
Jennifer
hands.
Mouse. Michael Jennifer Mouse. Give me the forklift and I'll do it, and then I'll put the lights back up on my castle.
You guys seen that meme that's like Mickey's a nickname and Michael Mouse is no friend of mine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicknames are for friends.
I love calling him Michael Jennifer Mouse. I do the same for Michael Myers. I call him Michael Jennifer Myers.
So
Where'd the
funny.
Jennifer come from?
I don't know. I said that to
Okay.
his face though in the house. I said, "Hi, Michael Jennifer." I just kept walking.
I just said,
I
"Oh,
love
it's
that
him."
too.
Scary.
I just said,
It's the
Happens in so
guy!
many places.
It's Willie Schatz.
Holy
I should have called him Willie Shots. I did tell Laurie Strode that I loved her though. I did do that. Laurie, I love you. OG final girl, let's go.
Yes.
Sponsored by
So I guess my last
FTW.
question before, unless you want to say, if there's anything else you want to say, what's your favorite attractions, or type of attraction?
Ooh. Ooh. Bella, do you have a good answer for this?
Can I say Guardians?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Guardians.
I love specifically Cosmic Rewind. Yes, I love Cosmic Rewind.
Or like, well, our show's attractions.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna say Fantasmic. Fantasmic.
Oh.
Ooh,
Dream of
that's my
Fantastic Dream
husband's
any
favorite.
night of the week. I'm ready.
Are you excited for it
Ooh.
to come back? They did announce they're rehearsing again. Yeah.
I'm so
Did
excited.
they? Yeah. I did not
Yes.
know that. Oh,
It's like
I'm
an
so
Instagram reel or a
pumped.
TikTok, I think, is how they announced it.
Mhm.
Ooh, I tried to see it when I was in Disneyland and it was closed for rain, which I was so sad about, like inclement
Boo.
weather. But oh gosh, the problem is I have too many answers for this question. Haunted
That's why it's
houses are a
plural.
big one for me. Yeah, I was gonna say attractions for sure.
Tea.
Haunted houses are like, I always really look forward to those. As far as like rides, oh man, I love Hagrid's at Universal like so much. It is one of my favorite things ever. The first
So
time I
cool.
went on it, I just fell in love with that ride. But I love drop towers of all kinds. I like, if you ask me, I would probably say Tower of Terror is my favorite ride at Disney. But I went on Disneyland's Guardians. It's not Cosmic Rewind. What's it
Mission
called?
Breakout.
Mission Breakout
Mhm.
and Monsters After Dark for Halloween. It was so good. I was one of those, oh, they can't change Tower of Terror people. And I'm not normally like that with Disney stuff, but I was like, they can't change ours. Don't change it. They could change it if they want. It was really good. I loved it.
I had that
But
same
yeah.
reaction. I had the same reaction with Jurassic World. Not to like totally go off tangent, give myself more of an answer, but I had that same reaction, like what you had for Tower and Guardians, I had for Jurassic World after writing Velocicoaster. Like, yeah, go ahead and change the River Adventure to World because they did such a good job with this one.
Yes. My
weird how
biggest
that works.
answer, I guess, is anything spooky. Oh, I didn't even say it. Haunted Mansion Holiday was like my favorite Disney ride ever.
I'm
when I went
so
on it.
jealous.
So good. Spooky stuff, though. I've always been into the spooky stuff. Ever since I was 12 and went to Howl-O-Scream for the first time, it changed my life.
Howl-O-Scream. They'll get you.
Oof. Yeah,
They'll get you good over there.
they will. I'm going in like a week.
Which one?
Ooh, nice. Orlando or Tampa?
Tampa.
Nice.
Tampa.
Is there anything else y'all want to share about yourselves before we move on?
If you follow me on Instagram, you lovely listeners of Theme Park Workshop, just be prepared for the amount of Harry Styles content you see. That's all.
Love that about you.
Yes.
That's all. You're you're signing up for that, and you're just gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
what I
can't
love
think of
about you,
anything
Bella.
else.
You're the same as it was.
I
think-
see what you did there.
I'm not knowledgeable on Harry, so I
Bruce.
don't know. I don't know if it worked, but I'm going for it.
It works. It works.
It's good. It's good.
I get you.
All right. Are we ready for some horror?
I'm ready.
Let's get into the spooky.
I get a grin again. Film is a weapon.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
I will keep these lights up until the day I die if I think there's a chance that Will's still out there.
The caretaker is here. And It's alive!
So, this year is Halloween Horror Nights 31. It's the 31st year, 31, October 31. It's Halloween time. That's the theme, Halloween. And we've all been at least once or twice. Yeah, well, at least once. We've all done different things. So this here is just a first impressions kind of thing. We'll do a full review / ranking later on in the season. But we're so excited. We really want to talk about this. So we're just going to give our first impressions. Overall, like, especially compared to last year and the vibes, like, what's your overall first impression this year? Kelly, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so let's see. I really liked this year so far, honestly. I don't know, like, so I only got to go once, just to let all the listeners know. I probably won't be able to go again. Maybe I'll buy a single day ticket. But I currently have a premiere pass for Universal, and I used my free day and then got Express and went with my husband and my cousin. So we went around and went in all the houses. I didn't do any of the shows, and I actually didn't try any of the food either, which I'm kind of bummed about because some of it looked really good. And I am bummed, especially Sting Alley. I wanted to go to the meat market, but it's okay. It's fine. Maybe I'll have to go again because I feel like I need to. As far as the vibes, I am digging the classic Halloween vibes. I really liked this year. I think most of the houses were super solid. And eventually when we get into the rankings, I have some gripes with at least one or two houses that I will share with everyone. No spoilers. But I am curious to see how it progresses as I like look on social media and videos online and everything.
Yeah,
I loved last year though.
You what?
I loved last year. I didn't mention anything from last year. I didn't, the plexiglass, I didn't feel as strongly about it as I think a lot of people did. It was fine, but I really loved the houses in general last year. And I think I was just excited to be back at HHN at full event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved last year because, that was my first year. So first impressions of that. So it was really good. But this year, like you said, the classic Halloween vibes are so good.
Immaculate.
I feel like the houses, I don't know if aggressive would be the right word, but with the 4 houses I did, the scares felt very like, I guess aggressive would be the good word. Not like physically aggressive, but like they were going hard. Like they got you.
Yeah.
Which is really fun because I feel like last year I had probably more bad runs than good runs, just timing wise probably. But this year I feel like anytime I've done a house, like I'm getting every single scare, and they are a lot closer this year, which I did not realize. I walked into Blumhouse and I said, oh, the grabber is right there. So that's been fun, but like I loved last year, but this is good. It's like a solid, I'm giving it right now an 8.5 out of 10 overall.
Nice IGN score.
Yeah. 8.573992 out of 10.
Very
Oh,
specific.
wow. We're going to circle back around to that later, Bella, and we're going to find out how those decimals moved exact.
Write that down.
Write it down. I will say aggressive is a good way to put it. And that was one thing I really liked about this year is last year I definitely, because I went a lot last year, and I definitely had some bad runs of houses, and it was like, can make or break a house for sure. I didn't have any bad runs, and I only got to do each house once, so that was cool.
Yeah, I know. So like last year, like that theme was such a celebration of Halloween Horror Nights. This year is very much a celebration of Halloween itself, but done in a way that only Halloween Horror Nights can. And so I think you feel that difference a little bit. it's like they're still both very good though. And I'd say this year's houses, I think I agree, Bella. Like there are at least 2 casts from like that was freaking aggressive. I dig. I've had more bad runs than I think y'all have this year. Like Blumhouse didn't have a great run of that. Like I'm gonna spoil and say it's at the bottom of my list right now just because of that one bad run. I haven't had the chance to go over it. I'm sure it'll change because everyone is very positive towards it, and I don't have positive feelings. But I know last year half the houses we did were kind of crummy runs, but there's still the cast though. Like no matter the house, no matter like how good the actual premise or design is, these casts have been doing an awesome job this year for sure.
Fantastic job. Yeah.
Shout out to Cast B from Wicked Growth last year. Homies. They were so good.
Oh man.
They were so good.
I do love Wicked Growth so much. And the Pumpkin Lord. I love that man. He can take my soul, or I don't know what he takes, but he can have it. I love him.
He can have it.
I think he takes Halloween. So I guess if your soul is Halloween, unfortunately, that's going to be processed into the Pumpkin Lord.
It kind of is.
Exact quote from him. He takes them with his grabby vines and grows Halloween.
Ew.
So,
and with each fart and belch, he grows more powerful.
Oh my god,
that is wild.
Literally, they put him up here to fart, to burp, and to say he grows Halloween with his grabby vines, and that's it. And I eat it up.
Yeah,
I saw videos of that, and I was like, "What is going on?" I love him. He can do no wrong.
It's definitely different than what I expected after seeing him that in Wicked Growth. Granted, I only did the one run of Wicked Growth last year, so I didn't get to see probably the full personality of the Pumpkin Lord. But like I remember going through like that house, and you turn the corner, and there he is, like wah, 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 you know, like doing his. I was going to say Pumpkin Lord shenanigans, but his shenanigans I feel are very different last year to this year.
Yeah,
but just him being all powerful and stuff, and there's like pumpkin guts, you know, pumpkin gut monsters coming out and like, oh, Pumpkin Lord. Like I didn't expect this to come out of the Pumpkin Lord, but yet it feels right. And I like that little detail, not to like kind of get into scary zones too early, but like I noticed yesterday, like, oh, you know, they're using the same arches that they used last year with Halloween Horror Nights on it. But now it's like last year, and now it's overgrown by the Pumpkin Lord. He grew out of last year. I think that's kind of a cool little tie-in to the whole thing. But yeah, I also think the houses, like, they're scarier than last year overall. I didn't think that the plexi took away from anything last year because, I mean, the stories were so compelling and the design was so good. Like, all of them were like A houses for me, if I remember right, last year. But definitely like the in-your-face part of the equation, like it adds so much, and it's made them all so much more scary for the, like, by and large, I think. So yeah,
more
and the vibes are great.
Vibes are great and more personal. I feel like when they can get closer to you, because like, you know, when they're saying their lines, it's like they're talking to you, and it's very, I don't know, I like it a lot. But the fact that like Wicked Growth is probably in my top 3 houses of all time, and it had plexiglass in it. I barely even remember any plexi from that house because it's just like, it was just such a memorable and fantastically done house, and they just did such a great job last year, regardless of everything. But yeah, I think they've both been really solid years.
Yeah, and like Bride of Frankenstein, that's my goat, and I don't see it dropping anytime soon. Like nothing this year, spoiler alert, beats Bride of Frankenstein lives for me yet. And I love some of the like a lot of these houses this year, but that house was just so special. But yeah, it had the plexi, but it didn't matter, you know. And I wonder if like the things I love about that house were, which like the storyline and like how it was so heavy on the storyline and the scares kind of integrated into that. I wonder if now that we've experienced it again with not the house, but like the season again post plexi, I wonder if that heavy storytelling on those 10 houses were due to that lack that personal interaction, so they had to replace it and one up it with something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the houses feel longer this year.
They do.
They're probably not. I was going through Coven. I felt like I was in there for 20 minutes. I wasn't.
Coven was long.
I was having a great time bopping to that 1920s music. I was like, yes. But I was like, we're going forever. Which I don't mind. It was fun.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
Black
fun.
Phone is longer than Freaky, but it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my poor scared husband was getting out of Freaky, and he was like, "Oh, we're done," and I was like, no,
Mm-mm.
we got time."
Well, let's go ahead
That
and
one
like
was
give some
so
general house impressions too, because I think that's kind of the track that we're on. Let's dive right into it. I think, Bella, to pick off of what you were saying, like, I think all the houses are longer this year because you lost the MIB tent this year, which I think was historically always the shortest because it was in a very small, like the tent houses are small. Somehow they pack so much into it. But
Right?
MIB was especially short. Like Carrie was like maybe like you could fit 2 minutes of a house in there.
Mhm.
Whereas this year and Shrek, we also lost Shrek. While Case Files was dense, they really had to like make everything super tight to fit everything in there. And so it was still one of the shorter end houses, I think. But this year you replaced that with Horrors of Blumhouse. Or not Horrors of Blumhouse. Well, that's the house, but it's in
Horrors
the
of Fast
Fast
and
and Furious
Furious.
location,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Horrors
a
of
brand new
Fast and Furious.
location. And that is so much deeper than MIB. I mean, it's literally they fit 2 houses in there, like 2 full-length houses in
So
Horrors
cool.
of Blumhouse.
They did, and can you imagine if they did that as just a full huge house in a future year? That would be a crazy house.
I know.
Mega house. That's how they can
Mega
do all of Stranger
house.
Things.
Ooh,
That's how they can do Stranger Things Stranger Things 4, 1 and 2.
If they have the height and the depth, because I know that's what they use the sound stages because it got all that top room. I don't know if Fast and
Yeah.
Furious affords that or not. But
You know what they need to do for the Fast and Furious houses? Use those big fans in the queue.
Yes.
They were not on when I was there.
No,
They need
They
to
were
turn
not.
them on.
I'm trying to think what
But,
else is a new location. Oh, Hell Block is in a location that hasn't really been used lately, I don't think.
in a long time. That was where they did
Horror Story?
American Horror Story. Yes, because I was like, I don't know what this location is. I did not look up a map beforehand. They were all like asking me like, "What's the next house?" And I was like, I don't know. And we got there. I was like, "Where is this?" And then I was like, "Oh, American Horror Story." Those were great. I loved those houses.
they need to do one again. I want to do one.
They do. That would be
I was
so
saying
fun.
this at the Lady Gaga concert last night. She could do her own house. She could have her own.
I would love a Gaga.
She could
house.
100% have her own house.
I would love that. I will probably talk about this later on. We can start with this house if you guys want, but with the Weeknd, it was not one of my top houses, and I will not spoil where it is in my rankings, but I love what they did with that, where they like are starting to introduce like non-rock music houses. I think that is a cool thing. Would be totally cool with like a rap or hip hop house. I think pop is a great way to go with it. I think they could do a lot with that, but it was not in my top 5.
Wow.
Same here.
I know.
Wow.
I did hate it. So
Not in your top 5?
I did not. I really liked it, but yeah, no.
yeah, I don't hate the house.
I mean,
their houses that I dislike more. And I don't say like, so when we got out of the house, there are a lot of people behind us and in front of us saying, I mean, it was fine, but they really shouldn't be doing music. Horror Nights is all about like movies and original stuff. Like we shouldn't have like The Weeknd. We shouldn't have pop music. I think they'd probably be against Penn and Teller house. I think they'd be against Alice Cooper house.
I love that. It wasn't a good house, I don't think, but I thought the Penn and Teller house was really fun, at least. Like, it wasn't one of my favorites or anything, but it was fun.
But I know there's like that
think it's
mixed
so cool
reaction.
when they do
I'm
that.
not in that camp. Like, I think The Weeknd, if you watch his music videos, for crying out loud, I say that someone who didn't watch the music videos until like very, very soon before the event, they're horror. I mean, they're also uncut gems, but they're also very horror. And I think they even up the horror in the house with some of the gross and disturbing detail. Not that it was the scariest house, but like it works for Horror Nights, and it's such a vibe for Horror Nights. Like we did that first. It set the bar. Like right away, it was a Halloween party, which is how this entire event began. Year one, it was a Halloween party with one house. Everything else was just a bunch of shows and fun and a celebration of Halloween and all of that jazz. And this kind of I don't know if had the same feel, probably not, but it definitely had, to me, it felt like the same spirit of a Halloween party. Which is, I think, the
It was
entire
a
event,
party
if you do
house.
the entire event, that's what it reflects. So I think
It was so much
it's
fun.
a really solid house. It's a good house. Not in my top 10, but like I think most houses are like at least a 7 for me, and I think that was at least a 7 for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Out
loved
of 10,
walking
not like a
in,
ranking.
walking into that
Mhm.
room with the mannequin of him and the LEDs coming out
Yeah.
of his. Oh my gosh. And the light up mirrors for blinding lights. I was recreating the meme. I was like, oh, it was so good.
That was very disorienting.
Yeah.
And then the
I
subway train.
Yes.
The subway.
One of 2 or 3.
Yeah.
What do you in the event?
Yeah. There's another
Oh, wait,
subway
yeah.
kill. Well,
Yeah.
killish. There's another subway scene. Yeah.
No, but it was good. I was dancing the whole time. That is the one house where I did not have to have my eyes to the ground because I was just having fun.
Mm.
I
It
love
is
the big
fun.
frog guy. The big
Oh, yeah.
frog. I love him.
Yes.
I love him.
It was a good time. I will here's a just something to think about, and I won't spoil it. I think I only had one and a half, 2. There were 2 houses in my bottom that are very solid that I do not think will change at all in my rankings as I continue to think about them. And there was one that I did not like at all, and it's one of my least favorite houses I've ever done.
What is it?
I can't tell you guys. It's a spoiler.
We gotta wait till the end of the
No,
season.
I want to know. I want to know.
It's a spoiler. And I'm gonna try not to let you guys know that I feel that way completely until we get to the rankings. But
Yeah,
What
I've got
else
an
did I
idea.
didn't
I've got
like?
an idea, but
Ooh.
don't know if I'm right. But I've got an
I have
idea.
an idea.
Do we
I
want
know
to?
what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to predict because then you might say something, then we'll know, and that'll ruin the surprise. And I know you want to keep the surprise.
I'm keeping the surprise. I'm not telling you. Keep your thoughts and let me know if you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think it was a very good idea to bring the Weeknd on, and I agree, Kelly. I think it definitely opens up the floor for a lot more options in the future.
Mhm.
What else? What other house?
Oh, I was gonna say the giant spider-shaped elephant in the room, the bug house.
Buggos.
I know you haven't done that house yet, Bella, but you have
I'm
to.
doing it Wednesday.
Oh.
Yes.
I already
Please
told my friend
message
I'm
us.
going with. I said, we're doing it. And he said, good luck. And I said, you're just going to have to provide therapy for me after. It's fine. I'm going to need a therapist after.
So Bella, do you
It's
have any
fine.
questions? So Kelly and I, we've both done Bug House or Bugs Eating Live as its proper Christian name. Do you have?
It's a government name.
What questions do you have for us about the Bug House?
Are there bugs? Anyway.
No. No, the actually, as I was walking in, there was a TM who was very funny, and it was like, you know, as you're walking down the hallway and you're not quite in the house yet, but they're doing like the theming and they've got the sounds going on that are like, oh, you spray this spray in your house, whatever. And he goes, come on, guys, get in there. Lots of bugs waiting for you. And I said, what do you mean? I thought this expo, the point was that the spray kills all the bugs. And he goes, girl, someone lied to you. It was very funny. I was like, yes, there were several bugs.
Oh my God.
None real.
None
That
real.
we
That's
know
an
of.
internet rumor. It's not true. They're all fake and costumed and, you know, props. So if you're afraid of seeing like a real cockroach, he's not supposed to be there.
He just wanted to see the house too. He wanted to go visit his friends. He said family reunion.
Watch out.
Exactly.
Oh boy, yes.
Did it feel like they were crawling on you? Because I've heard about like a dark hallway where they make it feel like they're on your feet.
That was the worst
thing
I've ever experienced.
Did you do Shrek 4D, Bella?
No.
Okay, so there's really no.
Never done Shrek?
No.
What?
So
it was
Shrek
always
had
a long
moment.
wait.
Oh,
that's so sad.
That's true. So Shrek had this moment where Shrek dangled a spider in 3D, and then he makes a joke about the spider, and then like there's 100 spiders that appear at the top of the screen, and then they all fall, and you feel the jets go. They bring back that effect. Shrek lives. It doesn't feel like
Shrek
individual
lives.
bugs, but it feels like a mass nonetheless.
No, it would just my chill just went up
Terrible.
my spine.
It's quick, but it's rough.
The dark hallway, I did run out of there very quickly.
Let me paint a picture for you, okay? I hate when my socks are wet. I know everyone does, but I mean like particularly like it will ruin my day. So I wore sandals because I knew it was gonna rain. I shouldn't have worn sandals. Please wear closed-toe shoes. Thank you. That's your PSA.
Was it bad?
Yeah. So I feel the same way about Bughouse. I think I told you guys in the group chat, but for the listeners, feel the same way about Bughouse as I did about Dead Exposure from 28, 29, 29? I forget.
28.
Okay, thank you. Dead Exposure, for those who don't know, was supposed to be, I don't remember if you like got a vaccine, but you were going into like the underground of Paris, and the point was that you were supposed to be going blind, and there were like
During a
these
pandemic,
horrible zombies.
and you
Yes,
got
and
a
during
vaccine.
a pandemic. Horrifying. God, and what a horrible.
It's
If
like they
did that this
predicted it.
year, oh man, people
I would have
flipped.
giggled. Anyway,
That-
continue.
So anyway, you were going blind, so it was just all strobe lights, and I have strong feelings about strobe lights. Maybe that'll help explain how I felt about the Weeknd house, but I have strong feelings about constant strobe lights. If it's in a certain room or something, I get the effect. It's scary, but constant strobe lights just mess with me, and I
know it's at your
hated-
bottom then.
It's not all the way at the bottom. I did not hate the Weeknd house. I did enjoy it, but man, it did have a lot of strobe lights. But this, like that house, Dead Exposure, I hated it because of all the strobe lights, but it was a scary house. It was a well done house. They did what they needed to do. That's how I felt about bugs. I hate bugs, and they did a fantastic job. Do I ever need to do that house again? No. Do I want to do the unmasking with a horror tour for it? Yes, but I don't need to do that house at full effect ever again. It was a lot, but it was good. They did a good job.
How were the holes? Was the holes bad?
So the holes are only on faces.
Really?
Yeah. So to answer your question, the holes are only on faces. It's not right away, but most human scare actors do have the holes in their face, as if, I mean, I was going to describe the picture, but I don't know if that would kind of put you on edge. Like as if like something's growing, as if like a nest is growing, or like an ant's gotten an evil ant. Yeah, sorry. That's the effect. In my run, I didn't have any of them get all up in my face because I think they know people are trypophobic.
Trypophobia,
yeah. I didn't either. They really didn't get super close to us, and like you can kind of, I mean, you know where the boo holes are usually, and you can kind of see them coming. I would look away probably from those people, but
yeah,
the bugs are fun though. Like the big giant bugs were cool. I like those, but to me, I was like, this is not a comedy house. I'm horrified.
Your text after you went through it. Oh my gosh.
Comedy house, my redacted. It was.
You don't have to redact if you don't want to.
Comedy house, my ass.
So funny.
Oh my. Yeah, it was good, but I love the woman in the beginning, the saleswoman. She's fun.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, she has a redemption arc, and I think that's cool.
I saw it. It's so cool.
It's very fun. I love that.
She said
she was my favorite.
Yeah. I loved Bughouse. I could do Bughouse numerous times, I think. And here's why I say I think. I was laughing throughout that maze because my brother was really not having the best time. He wants to do it again. He thinks it's a great house too. I think it's in his top 3. But he was just like super rigid going through it. I'm like, look over there. Like a bug's eating a man's face. And he's like, yeah, I know. And he keeps on going.
Aww.
So I was laughing, but also it is classic HHN. And by that, I mean, it is sensory overload. Like, think about the scariest house from last year, and I don't know what that is for you, but like when the house was going full effect, like there's so much going on in that house. There's flashing lights, there's water, there's stuff in your face because you gotta push them away this year, which I thought I wasn't gonna love. I love it. And it
It's
feels
fun.
I was so sweaty, so things were like sticking to me as I was going through. Like it is not the greatest feeling, but the storytelling in that house is so solid. Like it's one of the easiest stories to follow this year, which is probably my biggest complaint this year, is that I wish the stories were as strong as they were last year. But Bugs did it so well, and it was scary. I was laughing. I think the triggers, the like the scare lines are really good this year. Like there's
stomach.
Yeah. My favorite one is towards the beginning where like the bugs start taking over after the mist goes awry. And one of the BuzzCon workers is like, oh, they're biting me, or something like that.
So funny.
Like that's hilarious. And then the house is like, but we're not going to be that hilarious. Because it does get dark hallways, lots of spiders, and it keeps on going. Like I think I yelled in the house, like it's still going, because it does. Which, as you said, that's the theme this year. All the houses seem to keep on going. But I think when people look back on this year, like what are going to be the standout houses? And I think it's going to be Deadman's Pier for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about later. And I think Bug House is going to be the second house that goes down as an all-time classic from this year.
Yeah,
100%.
I think it was a fantastic house, but it was too much overload for me. It was too much. I got very scared. And I didn't really notice much of the pine scent when I went through it. I know it's supposed to be like pine scented. I don't feel like I noticed that, but like the spray or mist or whatever. But it was cool. It was a cool house, but man, it was a lot. But you got to do it, Bella. What I told myself, because the other people in my group didn't really want to do it, and I was like, listen, I have to do it because of my podcast. So
no, literally, that's the only reason I'm gonna do it. That's the only reason I have to do it.
So hard to rank because it's a 10 out of 10 Halloween Horror Nights house, but it's not a 10 out of 10 me house.
No, literally.
Yeah. I know they're supposed to be scary. I liked some of those houses that were really scary, but it was just too much.
But the funny thing is, I think it's still the comedy house of the year. Like of this year, it's the only thing that can qualify.
Yeah. It is, and I love comedy houses.
What was the comedy house last year?
Beetlejuice.
Oh, duh.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a forgettable house.
Wear my Beetlejuice shirt.
I wanted so much more for it. I wish it could have been better, but I still loved it. I don't remember where I ranked it last year, but I just loved it because it was Beetlejuice. I loved it.
It was.
Every time I went through it, I had an awful run, so it was very low on my ranking. But it was pretty.
I don't think anyone's ever had a good run in that house. I think they were all kind of bad runs.
I had a great run for the first half, and then the people in front of us started running, and TMs were very hard about like make sure you're keeping up with the party ahead of you last year, and so like saw a lot of shadows of Lydia and Beetlejuice, and they're like, we already did our scare 30 seconds ago. We're not doing, or 5 seconds ago. We're not doing it again for you. Like, but
and I never saw my sandworm. I never saw the sandworm.
Oh, it was.
I saw the like end of the sandworm. I'm like, dang it.
Sad.
Yeah.
Seeing the sandworm, I just saw Beetlejuice on Broadway. Seeing the sandworm in person, the prettiest puppet I have ever seen ever.
I'm so jealous.
Stunning.
I want to see that show.
It is huge.
I want to see a tour of it.
It's touring soon, I think.
I hope so, because I have to see it. I'm so excited.
It is huge. It is beautiful. It looks just like the movie.
Wow.
It moves just like it's insane.
Oh, can we get into Deadman's Pier though? Speaking of, I know we just brought that up.
I still haven't done it, but I need to hear all your thoughts.
10 out of 10. No notes. What a beautiful house. That house is awesome. I heard people saying it wasn't scary. In my opinion, that's not true. I still got pretty scared of it, but it's very atmospheric. I feel like it's the best way to put it. Like it is like there's a part where Kevin, my husband, looked at me and he was like, is it raining outside? And I was like, no, we're inside. It's raining in here.
And it's that's just so cool.
It felt like you were in this like fishing village area. I love the scare zone from, I think it was like 2017, where they did the Dead Man's Pier stuff, and this is like way better than that because that was in the Fast and Furious area, which is never the best scare zones to me. I feel like they're very cramped there, especially lately. But that house is so pretty. And the costumes are so pretty.
Yeah, they look like ghosts. Like you know that they're human, you know that they're actors, you know that they're talent, but I'm also like, oh, that's definitely like a ghost diver. Like that's not of this world. That's a ghost violin. Like that's not a real violin. It can't be. You know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the violinist.
Oh, beautiful.
Look,
I didn't know about that.
I cannot wait to see in person.
It's really cool.
I heard that the violinist was going to be part of it because people were saying you really need to listen to the podcast episode that they did. So like this year, Universal's been doing like backstories and making them like audio dramas or something like that on their Discover Universal podcast. So cool. Typically it's used to like, here's how you have a great day at Universal Studios, but it's also been used for like these backstories. And in that backstory, one of the characters, the main character, is like a violin prodigy, and she accidentally summons the dead fisherman.
Oh, that's so cool. I have to listen to all those. It's on my list of things to do. I should have done it before I went, but
it's so beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah. But that effect is so good, and like we got stuck right under her, and it was the best because you got to see that effect go down so many times. Like Bella, I think it's gonna really knock your socks off, even if you've seen the YouTube. Like it's nothing like being in person.
I can't even imagine what it looks like in person.
I almost think it would be like one of the best houses to do if you've never done this event before. Because
because my mom is gonna go. My mom wants to go, and she is so scared of horror nights. But so I've been trying to like figure out what's a good starter house for her to like do first. Like Beetlejuice was mine last year. And I feel like it might be it. Cause like, yeah, it looks scary. Their faces are kind of scary, but it is stunning.
You almost want to cry walking through it because you're just so in awe. Like they got 2 ships in here. Maybe it's just 1, but I don't know, man. Like they were on something else when they designed this house.
And like the makeup is incredible and they look wet.
Yeah, and the lighting effects that they do. There's like a lighting effect in at least one of the helmets that someone was wearing, and I like literally looked at it and I was like, oh. I think that's a great starter house. And actually, my husband, if you were to ask him what he thought of the event or like what houses he liked or anything, he would tell you nothing. He was horrified the whole time. But I asked him, I was like, okay, but did you like that house? And he was like, yeah, actually that one was really cool. He goes, I was still scared. He goes, but it was pretty cool. So I think that is a good starter house because it's like, I don't know. I'm one of those people where I used to get really, really scared doing things like this. But then like I started to focus more on the theatric aspect and the actors and the sets and everything. And that helped me a lot with like being less scared and more involved with it. And that house was so great for that, for sure.
Yeah. I know you said no notes and I agree. I just wish there's like kind of like that extra plot, extra storytelling to it to make that progression feel, because it feels like a tone poem, which is a great like thing to do. Like I love how like Coven was way more experimental 2 weeks ago than it is now. And Deadman's Pier is still kind of like it's about the attitude, the atmosphere. It's not so much about the storytelling of what happens when these fishermen, these dead fishermen ghosts invade a village. It's just these things are happening, but you get the sense of sadness, you get the sense of melancholy, you get this sense of, I don't know, these different paths, which is excellent. It's good. But also like my favorite house is Bride of Frankenstein, and like that house was entirely storytelling. So I don't know. It's still an amazing house. Like if I were to sit here and say it's not that good because there's no plot, like kick me off the podcast because it's amazing. You've heard about it by now, I'm sure, if you've been following HHN listeners. But yeah, if this is your first time hearing about it, you must do it. The wait time, it fluctuates, but it's always going to be high now because the hype's just gotten out there. But you shouldn't miss it. Yeah.
For sure.
I'm so excited.
Storytelling was better last year. I agree, Adam. Like Tooth Fairy example, other than Bride, like which was also great, but storytelling they did so good with last year. I feel like it, and I do agree that house could definitely benefit from more of a story, but it's just so pretty that I didn't care.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, definitely.
Oh, the facade with the fountain looks beautiful, or the statue, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I'm
so
sad. I'm
excited.
not sad, but I'm a little bit bummed that I didn't do it when I went yesterday with my brother. Because we were just kind of hitting houses that we probably were kind of like mid for us, not mid, but like in the middle of our rankings for us. And so we redid those, and this one we were pretty sure like, no, that's like top. That's towards the top. I'm not going to give it a number, but towards the top. And so we didn't feel like we needed to do that another time, but at the same time, you want to do it every time.
Because you love it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, period.
Let's do a house that you have done, Bella. Blumhouse House. Horrors of Blumhouse. Freaky and Black Phone.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was so fun.
You watched both movies beforehand, right?
Yes, and Freaky is like one of my favorite movies ever of all time now, I think. It's so good. I love it. It's just like so campy and silly and like Freaky Friday, but like murder. I thought it was good. I definitely thought it was shorter than The Black Phone. And I feel like there was a lot of like static scenes, if that makes sense. Like when she's sitting on the bench, and then when she's like pinned up against the wall, which was supposed to be the ground, and then it's like that see-through thing, and then the guy is like there. I was like, that could have been better. But like, I still loved it. The music where she's like, like going, I was like, yeah, let's go. I was hyped. But the Black Phone part.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Very dark, which makes sense, but it was like dark. It was creepy.
Ooh. I love the guy.
The grabber got right. Yeah, the grabber. He got like all up in my face. He wanted to grab
the
my
one
face.
With the
and I'm
spray
like, no, please don't grab my
can.
face.
The one with the spray can. It's like, I love him.
That
one's not scary.
Scene.
Where
he's sitting in the chair. Does he move? Is that a real?
No, it's a mannequin.
Really? I thought he was real, and I was like,
In Hollywood, it's real. In Hollywood, it's real, and he gets up out of the chair and lunges at you with the belt.
Dang.
Well, yeah. The only reason I'm glad that you just said it was a mannequin is because of the Unmasking the Horror tour. I want a selfie with him.
No, literally, my friend did it today, or did it yesterday, and took a selfie with it.
That's amazing. You know what? And you showed us that picture, and I didn't think about it. Oh, I thought he was real, which just goes to show you how great of a job they did with that. But man, if you would have told me that I would have liked a Blumhouse house this much, although the Insidious house from a few years ago was actually pretty good. The ones from the past few years with like The Purge have just not been hitting for me. And I love Happy Death Day is one of my favorite movies of all time as far as horror movies. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's really
House was not one of, it was probably in my bottom two, whatever year that was. Probably my least favorite usually was the Blumhouse one. So this one was so good. I loved
Walking into that room, it just like makes like your stomach like sink. You're like, ugh. And like the details of the room are insane. Like the wire, it was crazy.
The floor is a different floor. Like it feels like you're in a cellar.
It's crazy. The details insane on it.
The queue for that one was wild. With the Fast and Furious queue, I was like, oh, this is crazy.
90% of it's covered though, so that was nice. It was raining when I went through it, but it was hot. So Universal, if you're listening, please turn on your fans, please.
That would have made it a lot better. But what a house. Adam, what were your thoughts on that house? Because I thought it was super fun, and I've never seen Freaky, which I now want to watch. But
please watch it. It's on HBO Max.
So
I have that. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna run it down. Freaky is on HBO Max. If you want to like watch these things before you actually go through the houses, listeners. Black Phone is on Peacock. I believe it's on the free version too, so I don't think you need to pay $5 a month to see it. So the Monsters, Peacock is also getting a lot of the Monsters movies. I don't know if Wolfman is going to be on there. which is a bit of a bummer because that's definitely the best of the movies that are represented in Universal Monsters. Just saying. The Cars movies, those Mummy movies, not great, but I'm glad that he gets a feature this year. And then The Weeknd, you can watch all those music videos on YouTube, and there's different guides online, like the order to watch the after hours music videos. But as far as my thoughts on Blumhouse, I didn't love it. But it's not, but I don't think it's the fault of the house. I think it's the fault of the run. We went in right after a cast change happened, and I don't think everyone was in their boo hole yet. And not only that, I think like I was at the tail end of our group, but we were also at the tail end if you count like the 5 people ahead of us too. So like one of the best like parts of Freaky is the woodshop kill.
Yes.
I walked up and she was resetting.
Oh
No.
Like I missed so much of the Freaky characters. So my experience with the Freaky maze was the stills, like the still mannequins and stuff. But Black Phone, despite not having the best run of that house overall, Black Phone was leagues better for me. And it's leagues better than some of the houses at the bottom of my list still. Like I thought Black Phone was super effective. Black Phone, it's better than some of the other houses that are at the bottom of my list. For me, I thought some of the scares were super effective still, and maybe I went through that part when most people were reset at that point, because it's a long house. So, you know, probably Freaky probably wasn't in place, Black Phone was in place, but overall I kind of went out of it a little disappointed, kind of like, that was a house. Still well done, but definitely at the bottom of my list. But I don't think it's the fault of the scare actors or even the design of the house. I think I just had one crummy run, and that's all I'd have to go off of. So I'm going to go on Wednesday with my mom and my brother, and we're going to have a great time.
I'll be there on Wednesday.
Woo!
wow, I won't be there. I'm so sad.
So
I wish I could be there on Wednesday, but
that's definitely one we're going to do
see...
again, and so I'm looking forward to getting a second opinion on it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm curious to see where that's going to be on your final rankings when we do our ranking episode, which I'm so excited for later in the season, because I'm curious how it's going to, you know, jump up and where it's going to go, or if it stays. Maybe you still won't like it as much. I don't know, but
maybe
we'll see.
I don't know.
I hope it goes up on your list because it's fun.
Me too.
Can we talk about monsters since we started talking about monsters?
Yes, it was great fan service, but it was definitely like my least favorite day at the monsters houses, but I still left with a smile on my face. I'm like, oh yes, I got to see my monsters. This is worth it. You know, I still got a lot of people complain that all they're getting is Mummy, maybe like a Wolfman. Each run I got all the monsters, like all 3. But the second run I did of it, oh my lord, it was one of the most intense house experiences I've ever had. The scare actors were on a whole nother level. Like, well, the guys behind us were really freaking, like, as probably one of like their first times going through that house, and they were flipping out so much so that I'm pretty sure the Wolfman, he did scare. So my brother and I got it. The guys behind us hadn't gotten it, but he noticed that those guys hadn't gotten it. He could hear those guys. It's like, let me scare them again. So I think he tapped them on the shoulder, and they flipped out like, oh, get us out of here.
Oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
So when that house is at full power, it is so good. It's so intense. Like that run made the difference for me. Like that one was kind of sitting in like the weekend zone for me, where I'm like, it's good. It's solid. There's a lot of things I like about it because I love the monsters, but it's not Bride of Frankenstein, and it's not even 2019. And while it's probably still at the bottom of my Universal Monsters rankings, it's still an awesome freaking house. And I want to see Gilman next year. I want to see all the Phantom, bring back Phantom. Hunter at Notre Dame doesn't get any respect, you know. Like, let's bring him back. Invisible Man hasn't gotten a feature here.
That's funny. I loved that house. So we got a really, really good run. We were walking up to, it was the second house we did of the night, and I see 2 cast members. I know I told you guys this story, but I saw these 2 cast members and they were talking to each other, and I heard her say, we've got a situation, we need to shut down the house. And she goes, what's wrong? And she whispered something in her ears, and she goes, oh crap, that's bad. And then the group were right behind us. They said, please wait back for a moment. But I like speed walked. I was like, we're still going in. I don't care, because we already used our express. We got to go. I was afraid that that we would be missing something, that there wouldn't be actors, that something bad had happened. I have emetophobia, so I was like, oh God, what if someone threw up in this house and we're going in there? I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, and I was nervous. I ended up getting the best run of that house ever. Every monster jumped out at us, I'm pretty sure, because we were the last ones and there was no one else behind us, much to my husband's dismay, my scaredy cat husband. But it was fantastic. Everybody jumped out at us. I got one of my favorite scares ever. I love mirror scares. They terrify me, but I love them. There was a fantastic mirror scare with Dracula. I will say that there's that sound on TikTok that's like, I love the Boss Baby, but if I had to critique it, I'd say little less baby, a little more boss. Is that what it is? I don't know. But that sound, it was a lot of Mummy. I know that they did that on purpose. I think I heard that the one on the other coast is a lot of Dracula.
I think so.
I would have probably liked that a little more. The Mummy's not my favorite. I do love the ride, but as a monster, he's okay. But it was still a really cool house, and I really, really loved it. Like, I got a great run, and I think that helped a lot as well.
I'm excited to do it. I still haven't done it, but I'm excited. It looks cool. All the videos I've seen looks really intense.
Yes,
I like the sound effects and the music. The scares are really creative.
They are.
I watched Hollywood's. They have some good ones.
I
they have
watch
some
that.
good ones. Yeah.
I gotta go on YouTube and watch everything. I want to, like, I know I won't be able to go to the event again, but there's a couple of my houses that could definitely change, and I'm going to utilize the videos on YouTube. I want to wait till after the Unmasking the Horror tour that we will hopefully do coming up soon here to kind of get some more of the stories from some of those houses. And I just love Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
flying
good.
Draculas and I actually love that the Mummy gets to do something in this house. You know, saying he's not my favorite monster, especially this iteration. In those movies, they keep on saying like how powerful he is, and he can't have more than 12 Tana leaves, because if he has 13, God forbid, the world's going to end, or something like that. It'll be too powerful, so you got to make sure you get this mixture exactly right. And they always get it right. It's like, no, come on. You've already said this monster has infinite power. Once he's like a genie in the lamp, you know, you could wish the genie free. Who knows what's going to happen? And they still kind of have him under control. But my Lord, like he does so much. He's scary. So I'm glad Karras gets his redemption arc 70 freaking years later, but it happened. Or 80 years later. It was a 40s movie, my Lord.
Yeah. Jeez. It was a great house for the Mummy, for sure. It was a solid house. It just pales in comparison to some of the previous Universal Monsters houses, because especially from the compilation house they did, was it 2019? Oh, I loved that house. But and I know you love Brides so much, Adam, which of course I did too. It's a great house. But it was a solid house as a general thing, for sure.
Still got some more houses. Do you want to run them down like quick fire? I don't know. Descendants. There's Descendants of Destruction. Oh, Halloween. Gosh, I forgot, Bella. There's still some that you haven't done that we haven't talked about.
That's the last. Oh, and Coven.
Yeah, let's do Halloween and Coven right now.
Yeah.
Let's go Halloween first, because I think I have way more positive things to say. I like Coven, but Halloween is such a beautiful representation of that movie. It's scary. It's easy to follow. Like they really, the Fallon Portal's just been good luck for 70s horror movies. Because Texas Chainsaw was off the chain last year too, no pun intended. And Halloween, like 70s horror just lends itself very well to these houses. And I love Halloween, the house, so much. Didn't do the past ones. I didn't do 2018. I didn't do Halloween 4. I didn't do Halloween 2. Didn't do any of those. So I don't know how those were compared to this, but I just know that this year, awesome.
It was so good. Like that house facade is massive,
beautiful,
and I love how like simple it is. Like you see Baby Michael, and then it says like John Carpenter's Halloween, and it like I just love. It's like the you know, all of you know. It's just It is so good. The mirror room is fantastic.
Oh,
The scare where
yes.
you're going through the closet and he's on one side and Laura's on the other. It's just so good. But I was watching Hollywood's version of it. They have their first Michael Myers scare of that house is genius. I will not spoil it, but it's
I
genius.
gotta watch it.
And I highly recommend everyone go watch it because it is so good. I mean, it's basically the same thing that we have, but that first scare, I was like, But ours is so good. The vibes, immaculate. I think it's funny that the masks never fit the actors' necks.
Yeah.
So it kills me. And that's how you know which ones are real or fake in the mirror room.
Genius.
Look at the neck because it
The
doesn't
heck?
work. But it was very solid. It's very, I mean, I've only done 4 houses, but it's very high up in that list of 4.
Yes.
That house is just a love letter to fans of that movie. It is so beautifully done. I definitely want to do the 6-house tour for Unmasking the Horror, but now I want to do the 3-house tour too, because it was really rude of them to put that in the 3-house tour. It was genius, but rude, because that house is just so amazing. I loved it so much. It was just so good. And it's like, those kind of houses can fault from just a ton of like the same scare over and over again, because it's a Michael Myers house. It's going to be a lot of Michael Myers. I feel like Halloween 4 suffered a lot from that. I feel like this house didn't do that as much. I think they did some really creative things with their scares. They had a mirror scare, so of course I loved it. The misdirection. And I knew it was coming and it still got me, but that was really good. And it was just a solid house. I thought it was such a good time.
So good.
Yeah.
I think, did they do because this was one of the first Halloween Horror Nights houses I did. They did a him versus Jason house, right?
Freddy
Michael versus Jason.
Freddy versus Jason.
It was Freddy versus Jason.
Based on they did a Freddy versus Jason movie back in the 2000s, so they adapted that as a house.
Okay.
They should do that with more horror icons. Like put them together.
So fun.
That would make them collab. That'd be so fun.
You're right.
This year Halloween's supposed to end, so who knows? Because Halloween ends.
I saw a massive billboard for it in Times Square. I'll have to send you the picture. It was huge. I was like,
to see that.
Michael Jennifer
Myers. Oh man, I'm gonna start calling him Michael Jennifer. So thank you for that. You're right. It was Freddy versus Jason, but I think I've only ever done then the Halloween 4 house and this one, and this was leagues better. This was a great house.
Yeah.
What else? Descendants of Destruction was probably the scariest house to me, in my opinion.
I'm so scared to do that one.
It was really good.
What Deadman's Pier does for atmosphere, like in terms of scope, I feel like Descendants of Destruction does that in detail.
Yes.
The ending, I think the finale of Descendants of Destruction is probably my favorite finale of the whole event this year.
That's a good, yeah. I
don't
agree
know
with you there.
Bella, you've seen the POVs? Okay. So when things start glowing, gosh, they get so aggressive and it's amazing. And
It's
like
so
that
cool.
house, as you said, like it's so scary. The scariest of the house, scariest house of the event. I think I agree, because I mean they're just firing on all cylinders, like everywhere. And just the storyline is so aggressive itself. Like they're mutants, they've lost their humanity. Yusa gonna die, as Jar Jar would say. Like it's incredible. I think that and Hellblock, I think those are my 2 favorite casts this year, just for how aggressive they are. 2 very different executions in terms of storyline and kind of the house design, but I think those 2 casts are doing an amazing job really selling those houses. And I fear Descendants is going to be towards the bottom of my list just because I keep on forgetting about it, not because it's not it's just because it's a tent house. It's all the way back there, but the tent houses this year are freaking killing it. Like they're awesome. I mean, Bugs might not be the most enjoyable one to walk through, but like Descendants is just pure scares.
Chaos.
And it's great
Yeah.
for that.
It is. Yeah, it's a really fun house, and it's there's a lot of like I don't know, there's just a lot of scenes that were really memorable to me, and I just thought it was a really cool house, and everything looked really good. We mentioned Hell Block. Hell Block is a prison house, and
It's a house.
I don't love prison houses, but the monsters looked so cool, and there were a couple scenes in there that I really really liked. But
Yeah.
prison houses are never my favorite.
Yeah, this one. So like, I remember when we heard rumors about it, when it was just prison house, I wasn't hot on it. I think the three of us all had like towards the bottom of our hype lists. Like we weren't looking forward to this, but then they said it was going to be a prison house, but the prisoners were all Horror Nights monsters of the past. And I'm like, oh, this could be like a Cabin in the Woods finale kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Sold. That's the potential you got there. Very quickly, people were like, it is not that. Don't go in expecting anything great. And like opening Friday, opening Saturday, it had like the lowest marks. When I went on Sunday, everyone started saying, oh, okay, the house has found itself. And I agreed. That first run of Hell Block, well, some of the scares are towards the cheaper end. Like, you could tell the cast, that's for me, like, I'm like, oh, the cast is really standing out here. And there were some great hallway scares. There's some great scenes. Like, I'm thinking about the return of, well, there's the monster, like, the monster scare that if that scare is not in that house, you've totally missed all the great things about the house. But the electric chair, Old Smoky makes a return, and
I missed that scene, which is so
no,
like nothing, it wasn't running when I was in there, and I was sad about that because I was like, I feel like that's like the best part of the house. But I've seen like videos and pictures of it, and I think the cast is fantastic. They do a really, really good job, and they are very aggressive in that house for sure. It was scary. Why prison house is always going to have a bathroom scene though? Every time.
What's the bathroom scene? I don't remember the bathroom scene.
There was like, maybe I'm wrong about that. There was one house that had a bathroom scene. I can't remember.
Chupacabra.
Was it Oh, maybe it was Chupacabra. I think you're right. There's always a bathroom scene, man. I'm always like, why you gotta be here?
Because
You're right. I assumed it was prison.
Tim Tracker was talking about it in Chupacabra because he said it smelled so bad.
It smelled so bad. Okay, you're right. It was Chupacabra though.
I need to do it again because I don't remember being like
Rough.
disgusted with like any smells.
That one was rough. Not really any of the other houses. There was one house that I'm pretty sure they had a blood smell in that I was like, ugh, I don't remember which house that was. But
This year or in the
yeah,
past?
I think it was this year.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
They're not very aggressive with smells this year like last year.
I was expecting bugs to be aggressive on the pine smell, and I didn't really get that because they kept being like pine scent in this. I don't know. They weren't super aggressive on smells, but that house did smell bad. The chupacabras, which we'll get into that house next. But Hell Block, I was hoping for a Cabin in the Woods finale. It wasn't like, because how are they going to do that? It wasn't as crazy as I was hoping for, but it was still aggressive, and it was still a fantastic cast and really cool looking monsters. There was one in a big cage that was really cool.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Oh,
about. Like,
yes.
I thought we were gonna miss the cage guy. I'm not gonna spoil who he is. If for the people listening, because it's really he's from a fan favorite house from what I've heard. So, but I thought we were gonna miss him, but he was just hiding. I don't know how you can hide in a cage, but
Yeah, right.
Homeboy managed, and he like, oh my gosh, yeah. But it didn't at the same time, like, that really depends on the run. Like, if it's a really great cast run, like, it can be in my middle of the list, but then you have a not so great run and the weaknesses of the house really trump it, and it's towards the bottom of my list, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to make of you, but I'm surprised it gets the soundstage cue. Okay, I'm going to complain about that cue. It really ruins the entire vibe of the event. It's so sterile.
It is. I thought that when I was in there.
Yeah.
Chupacabras, is that the last one we have?
We still have Coven and Choopy.
Oh wow, how did I forget
Choopy.
about Coven? Okay, we'll talk about this. We can start with Choopy.
Okay. Choopy is, I think I agreed with you that Sustenance was the scariest house. I rescind that. Chupacabra got me most when I went through it that one time. Love the Choopy designs. I thought there was going to be a little bit more Fiesta de Chupacabra, but it really went straight to the carnage. But I'm all glad for it. I thought it was such a creative house. I thought the scares, as I said, the scares got me. When things start shaking, I start shaking, that's how it goes. I just thought it was a really shocking and amazing time. It's pretty locked where it is. That's all I'll say in terms of my rankings. I can't wait to do it again. I know a lot of people are really resonating with the cultural representation of this house. And in the character dining, they've got the Chupacabra mask maker, I believe is the character name. She's there telling the stories of the Chupacabras and inviting everyone to come join the Fiesta de Chupacabras, and like, they're just a legend, but we still honor them, yada yada yada. And obviously that's not the case. I was really surprised how bloody and gory and graphic it was. Like, at first I'm like, oh, but then I realized where I was. Like, oh yeah, this is great. Yeah.
I'm excited to do it. I've heard mixed things, but more positive than negative. I'm excited.
It was not one of my favorites. I was so hyped for this house. I was so hyped. I think it was like number 3 on my hype list. It was not number 3 or higher on my rankings. It was on the lower end. And I don't know why. I was so hyped in the line, like going like when you're in that dark hallway going up towards the facade. And I like the fireworks and the music and is it the storyteller or the mask maker that's right there?
I think that's her.
Cool. Yeah. And then I don't know where it fell flat for me. And we'll talk more about it in the rankings episode when I'm describing where I rank it, spoilers. But just like, I think the Chupacabra thing is really cool. And I think the cultural representation was really cool. And I hope they do more of that. Like, I liked that they had lines in Spanish, even though obviously I had no idea what they were saying. I'll have to do more research and stuff to figure out what was going on with a lot of that. But it just fell flat for me a little bit. It wasn't one of my favorites. I wanted more fiesta because I think it's described as like a colorful fiesta. And I definitely was not getting that vibe from it. It was very dark. And a lot of the mask scares, which I didn't find those that scary. I wanted more Chupacabra. I know they had a lot of it in there, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just found myself wanting more in all fronts.
I like that Tim Tracker pointed out that you can always hear the Chupacabra growling or like eating, and I just think that's so cool. I'm excited.
It's also gross, but yeah, it is cool. As a design team choice, I think like this house in general was a great choice, but fell flat for me. Wasn't one of my favorites, and I didn't get that scared in that one. Maybe I didn't get a good run, but it didn't scare me very much.
It was the for me, what really like solidified it as like the scariest house for me was that room you going down and the Chupacabra pops out from the front and then the picture starts shaking and the wall starts shaking. Like I've not fallen on the ground in a house, but I came pretty close there. And
I will say that also happened to me. That was great. That scene was awesome.
And I think I just really love those Chupacabra puppets. So not necessarily those, but like when it reminds me of American Werewolf, which was the first house video that I saw that got me interested in the event in the first place. Whenever I get to experience something like that, I get really excited. So I think maybe that kind of put it over the edge for me too. It'll be interesting to see that on another run, see if that changes. I thought it was pretty locked in, but I don't know. Who's to say?
And I like that we have both of the 2 mixes, by the way, that you really liked it and I really wasn't a huge fan. And it's definitely interesting to see where it'll fall on both of our rankings and Bella's ranking once we get to the ranking episode.
I'm excited.
Coven.
I liked it. I didn't hate it.
I had a good time.
I was having fun. Yeah.
I heard the mixed reviews. So I went yesterday, which was September 17th. So kind of in the middle of September, towards the end of September, where, I know they've made updates. I don't know exactly what changes were made, but I know a lot of people the first night and first week of the event hated it or just didn't have any good things to say about it. I thought it was such a fun time. I don't know if maybe like the changes that were made like made it significantly better, or if it was just like right up my alley. do not ask me what was going on in the second half of that house. I could not tell you, which is part of why I want to do Unmasking the Horror for it, because I'm like, I don't know what was happening, but like it took a turn that I was not expecting. But it was good. I thought it was scary. I thought it was fun. I was having a good time. The first half of the house I really enjoyed because it reminded me a lot of the Kitty Cat Club from
Case Files.
Yeah, Case Files. Thank you. Which I loved. I loved Case Files. So I think Case Files was my number 3 last year. I can't remember. Like I loved it a lot. So it reminded me a lot of that, and I just really enjoyed it. But I know it's not everybody's favorite, and it wasn't my favorite, but I did like it a lot. It is one though that I feel like could move on my list as I continue to think about it.
Yeah. I know for me, well, Bella, you said you liked it. Why don't you go on? Get some positivity up in here.
I think I really liked it. It's definitely at the bottom of the 4 I've done. But I liked it. I thought it was cute. I loved all the stuff that was in your face. Like at one point where you're underground and it's vines, it kept like getting stuck in my hair, which was kind of fun. And I love the old man that plays the piano. I will do that house
He's
just
wonderful.
for him.
We'll die for him.
It's like last year when I only did Puppet to see the dancing clown. I will only do Coven to go see the man on the piano. I think he's so funny. I think the costuming is really cool. I like the progression from like these beautiful witches. Well, we don't know they're witches yet until like, and they change into like the stereotypical witch you think of. But I really couldn't tell you what was happening during it, but it was fun. I support women's wrongs, I guess. They were just vibing.
Same.
Let them do their thing.
Adam, before you get into the negatives, I assume it's negative. So by the way you phrased that, but I will say that I really liked the progression of scariness and like how unsettling it is. I feel like it starts out like, yeah, it's like hopping and it's a party, and then it just gets more and more intense. A lot of the houses do that, but this one I feel like did a particularly good job of that, in my opinion.
I think you're right, yeah. So I'm of 2 minds of it because I've done both versions. The pre-change and the post-change, and the biggest change was the addition of like a significant addition of voice lines. To me, the original run of it wasn't one of my favorite houses, but I really thought it was different and interesting in how they did it. And it reminded me of a 1920s era silent movie. There's still lines like "What's the password?" and things like that. So it wasn't like completely silent, but I think that made people think it wasn't that scary and whatnot. But I thought the slower pacing of that house, because that pacing is weird for me. Like I don't know what's I don't know. Like they wait so long to do their scares whenever I go through. Maybe I'm just not having the greatest runs. I don't know. I don't want to feel entitled. Like I need to get every scare. That's not what this event's about. But I don't know. The pacing's always been weird in there. But that's kind of how like 1920s silent movies are. You know, like you watch Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or Nosferatu or what I think the old Phantoms like that. Like they take you have to lock into it to really appreciate it. And when I thought, okay, I think this is what this house is like, and I locked into it, I really had a great time in it. The new voice triggers, while they do make the plot a lot clearer, where okay, yeah, because if you go into it blind in that original run, you're probably not going to know what's going on. But now that they have the voice triggers, you know, okay, these witches are after us. They're going to do something with us, and witches brew and all that. But I think it lost some of the charm and character that I think that first version had. This feels more like the new version feels what I expected it to be, which is odd that I'm having this and it was at the top of my hype list too, because Flapper Witches. So I'm kind of divided on it. Like I don't hate the house, but I'm like, I know the pacing is not for me in that house, and I know I'm of 2 minds on the second version and all that. But the vocal lines seem too camp, like too cheesy now. I don't know. And I dig camp, like, so I don't know what it is. I'm so divided on it now, and I wish it still had. I know the character wasn't for everyone in that first version, but you know, it's one that I still want to do, and I want to be on this house's side so badly. Like I really want to root for this house, but it's just not connecting with me at this point, and I'm bummed about that. That's what I was meaning. Like get the positivity out of the way, because I want this house to get props. I want to love this house, and I'm not there yet. I was almost there, and now I don't know. Like I remember when we were talking about it, we just got the title, Witch's Brew, Spirit of the Coven. I thought, oh, maybe this is going to tie into Wicked Growth, because you had those two witches. I forget their names.
Yes.
But some of those new vocal lines kind of are reminiscent of that. Like, I think one of the witches says, like, oh, you look ripe, and, things like that, which weren't in that original version. So I kind of like, it's more in line with my expectations, but I'm kind of bummed now that it was in line with my expectations. And there's a lot of dead space too. But I don't know if it's because I was missing scares, or because it's just trying to build dread. But at the same time, you're like, it's been a minute and I haven't gotten a scare. What's going on?
Yeah. The name,
right. That's definitely true.
When thinking about the name, it's also really clever, because they're using like a speakeasy and a distillery, spirits of the coven. It's clever, and I think it's cute.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is. It's a fun house. I feel the same way though, Adam, about like Choopy. Like, I want to love it so much because of the concept, but I haven't been connecting with it. So I'm definitely gonna watch videos and keep like, thinking about my thoughts on everything too. But yeah, no, I feel it always sucks when you like are really hyped for a house and then you're like, oh, bummer. I did love Spirits of the Cup, and I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. I think we've gone through all the houses. So let's just quickly go through these couple of things, because I know scare zones are kind of either you do them a lot or you don't do them at all with the way they're spread out this year. But I guess quick thoughts. Bella, like, what are your thoughts on the scare zones? And if you've done the shows, what are your thoughts on those?
I think the scare zones are really fun. I don't think they're super scary, but like they're cute, they're campy. I like that I can walk through them now without chainsaws in all of them. Like, yeah, they're like kind of roaming. They're easier to avoid, but like I didn't have to miss out on scare zones this year because of them, which is nice. The scarecrow one gets me every time I walk through it. It's so cramped in there, and it's so scary. The pig likes to follow me around, and I'm like, please don't get away. But it's fun. I like the witch one. I get scared in there too. Yeah. The thing with the eye scares me because holes. But I don't know. I think they're cute. I think the Nettlewood Cemetery one is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, yeah.
Especially at night, it is stunning. And then the Pumpkin Lord's just fun. It's cute.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't really have much to say.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about them this year either. I feel like the Pumpkin Lord one is really cool during the day, but at night it's so dark you can barely see them, which I thought was sad because they look so cool. But I loved the scarecrows. Nettlewood is beautiful. I didn't really get much out of the Spirits of the Coven. They were doing like the show thing that they do on that stage, and it was super crowded, and I didn't really get to see a lot of that. But Sweet Revenge I thought was so
I
fun.
love it.
Yeah.
The parade floats are so cool. I love that house so much.
Yeah. I think Conjure the Dark might be...
house, I'm sorry.
What?
Scare zone. Anyway,
oh, yeah.
I said house. I love that scare zone.
Hey, maybe next year Sweet Revenge is going to be a house. That's what happens with these crowd favorites, yeah? Killer Clowns, really Deadman's Pier.
Love that.
Trick or Treat.
Would love that.
Dead Waters.
Yes.
I think Conjure the Dark might be my favorite of the San Francisco scare zones that I've done. I've only been doing it since 2019, but like the show aspect of it I think is really cool. And like there's a lot going on, but granted it depends on when you go through it, but I don't think it's felt as cramped. But it's also one where like we're walking through and like, no, hold on, let's stick around, let's experience as much as we can out of it, because some scare like Nettlewoods, it's hard not to just rush through that. Or Graveyard Deadly Unrest or something. So like that hasn't left an impression on me yet, which I'm bummed by, because it was the first. I remember when we saw the construction, I was going crazy. We were all going crazy over that. Like, it looked so good, and it still looks so good. And I saw some details, like they had like photographs of the dead, like on some of the crypts, and I'm like, oh, that's such a cool detail in a scare zone and stuff. But anyway, Conjure the Dark, like the show aspect of it's really cool with the fire and the cauldron, and I love the creature designs. And then you've got the virgin victim, trying to escape death and all that. And I think she's doing a great acting job. A lot of people got great pictures of that character. So it's kind of become iconic. But Sweet Revenge, I see people running out of that scare zone because of some of these demented trick-or-treaters. That's such a fun scare zone to walk through. And Scarecrow, I always have a smile on my face because of how scary and good it is. I didn't do the old house. I did the original house.
Oh, one of my favorite houses of all time. Scariest house I've probably ever been in. But yes, I love that they turned that into a scare zone. With Sweet Revenge, I got one of my biggest scares of the night because I wasn't paying attention and someone scared me in there. I don't even remember which one it was. I was just so terrified. But I would love any of the scare zones this year to be a house. Like, I would love if they revamped Scarecrow, first of all. I would die.
Yeah.
But like Sweet Revenge would make a good house. Spirit of the Dark would make a good house. Is that what it's called?
Conjure the Dark. This is the first Halloween. Conjuring Darkness for the first, maybe not the first time, but Halloween. Yeah,
that's fun. That's very fun. I think that would make a cool house if they did it right. Yeah, I love when they turn scare zones into houses because my favorite scare zone from San Francisco is probably Dead Man's Pier, because I did go to that one in 2017 and I loved it. So I obviously loved the house. I feel like they're not some of my favorite scare zones I've ever done this year, but they're all pretty solid.
Yeah. They all feel like a good budget, like a big budget was put into all of them. Like, I think Sweet Revenge alone is the entire budget of the last couple of years scare zones. They just put all of that, and then they still had some left over. And I said, give it to the graveyard. Let's have a show over in San Fran. People like Scarecrow. Let's build a freaking barn house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love how in Sweet Revenge, the girl that's pulling the wagon, the kid sitting in it is from the Trick or Treat scare zone and the house.
Oh yeah.
The one that's throwing up the
so
candy.
Cool.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I know you. I know you.
It's so cool. Do you guys get any food?
Yes.
I did 2 things.
I haven't had anything.
I've had the maggot corn dog and a
so
twisted
sad.
tater, and that's it.
Oh,
how were they?
So good.
I wanted to try the maggot corn dog. My doctor doesn't want me having a maggot corn dog. But
it's so good.
Sodium,
it's
cholesterol,
so
carbs, all that jazz. But I almost got it. But they were out, and they said it might be 2 hours before we have some.
The hype is real with that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
But what I did get, I got the ground turkey bao bun. I forget what it's actually called.
Ooh.
That was tasty if small. I realized I had a bite of my brother's if No Chance in Hell PB&J. Very good. And I had the Reuben fries. Not the biggest fan, but they might have been under the lamp too long. The fry, I don't know. I wouldn't get them again. Didn't need that.
Yeah.
But it's good that they're trying different things. But I think the specialty food this year makes some good snacks. They're expensive snacks, but they're good snacks nonetheless. There's no way I'm touching that Good Guys burger though. That might be the last time you hear from me if I get that.
No.
Oh no! And my friend got it yesterday, and I was like, absolutely not. Not the people I was with, but I saw them post about it, and I was like, no. I was going balls to the wall on houses last night because I was like, I have to do all these houses. That is like the most important thing to me. So I didn't get any food. We ate beforehand at Big Fire Grill, which I'd never been to. It was all right. I mean, I liked it. It was good. The s'mores were really fun. But I was like, listen, I didn't buy any food. I'm getting another shirt. So just diving into merch real quick. I got a Spirit jersey, the one with the Every Day is Halloween on the back and on the Halloween print. This print that they're doing for the Halloween, Every Day is Halloween, all of the cat, Little Boo, the witches, it's my favorite thing ever. Yeah. So I got pins, I got a Spirit jersey, I got the house t-shirt that got leaked, as I said earlier, I think. I I think that's all I got for merch, but I'm tempted to still buy more at some point. But I loved all of it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm definitely tempted to get more.
I want the Pumpkin Lord.
I'll hail the
Pumpkin Lord AP shirt. Yes, that was fun.
Yeah. I've also indulged in some merch. And I'm gonna be going a lot. Well, I got the pass to go any day. So like, who knows what else I'll get from Horror Nights? But I'll show you what I got.
Please show.
Yes.
Let me get into the microphone. I did splurge
Yay!
on the Legendary Truth vinyl.
Good.
I love it.
I haven't opened it yet. I don't even have a vinyl, so I'm gonna steal my brother's. But I'm like, I can't pass up on this.
No.
Someone played a clip of it, and like they have the whole like welcome to the Universal Palace Theater. Like they have clips from Horror Nights past, and they've got like side B is case files. I don't know what that will entail, but I think it's going to be some Boris. The side A is all the Legions of Terror. Like it's themed, like each track is themed to those groups. So I'm so excited to listen to this. They're not as like going sold out. Like first night they sold out or when they announced it, they sold out very quickly. There's still plenty left. I think super fans got it first run, and if they didn't get it, then they're like, well, they might be gone. They bought them online for $15 more because shipping and handling. But no, you can just get them during the day. So I'm excited to listen to that finally. And like there's all sorts of like Easter eggs on the cover. Like there's the director on there, there's Kitty Cat Club, there's Shady Brook, Cindy Kane, and the totems. Oh, there's a thing about the totems from Case Files, and they've got like a Dr. Albert Kane like business card on it and stuff. And I think Elsa Stritch, who's the storyteller, I think she made it on here too. And I got one of the Studio Screamer vinyls, and I got Wolfie out of it. So
cute.
Aww.
Yeah.
I can't get too into the vinyl albums, like get a record player or anything, because if I do, then I'm gonna spend way too much money. But I will be showing up at your house, Adam, and just sitting on the floor like this and listening to the whole thing at some point. So I don't even know where you live. I'm just gonna knock on your door and be like, hi, I found you. I'm listening to it now. Thank you.
Found you.
Found you.
Just have like a Case Files album party, and everyone sits in front of the vinyl, like with looking creepy and stuff.
On like little pillows.
Yeah.
I would love that so much. I need to listen to it at some point, but that is so cool. What a great purchase. And the Wolfie is so cute.
I know. I'm afraid to get more too, because they're more expensive than they should be. And you might get duplicates. They're surprises. But this year I decided, because I didn't splurge last year because I didn't want to get Chucky. I had no connection to Child's Play. Even now, I haven't seen the first Child's Play. It's a good movie, but I don't know if I'd want to like have Chucky merchandise in my house. But this year I was fine with any of the 6, because it's Wolfie, it's Bride, it's Casper, director Michael Myers, and I'm totally forgetting number 6. But the 6th one was
Pumpkin Lord?
It was Pumpkin Lord, yeah. And who would be upset about Pumpkin Lord? He's the icon. Yeah, so
I don't know how I feel about the Michael Myers design with the blood tears, but he's
I'm trying to remember which movie
fine.
he gets shot in the eyeballs in. Was it Halloween 2? Or was it like one of the later ones? I can't remember.
I can't remember, but I know what they're doing with it. Yes,
Yeah.
I can think of the scene, but he's all right.
Yeah.
He looks kind of silly, but I want a Pumpkin Lord one. I think those are so cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what else we haven't talked about. Did you see Ghoulish Bella?
No.
I preferred last year's Lagoon show more. The
That's what I've
Carnage
heard.
Factory. Just because the music in Carnage Factory, like a lot of people say the first Marathon of Mayhem is like one of their favorite nighttime shows in all of history, all of theme park history. I didn't see it. I decided to do Houses because it was a packed butt night when I did my first Horror Nights. But year 2 we had some extra time and did that, and like the Paint It Black remix they did like gives me serotonin to this day. There's no serotonin tracks in Ghoulish, and it's called Ghoulish: A Halloween Tale. There wasn't much of a tale to it. It was more thematic. but like all that, but if you love the, every day is Halloween kind of merch, like that theme, all of that is in Ghoulish.
That's so cool.
And
I gotta watch a video of that.
It's good for what they're going for. You can see like they're definitely cared about this, and I think if they did a third marathon of Mayhem, I think they would have felt like they're going through the motions. So I'm glad they did something that they probably preferred. And it reminds me of like one of those records or tracks or whatever where you put it on and it's like, this is a trombone. The kind of show has kind of that theme, and it's like an audio radio drama. It's like, now we're here about Halloween for the living, and now Halloween of the dead. And then I prefer the Halloween of the dead personally because minor keys. But no, it's a solid show. I don't think any of the shows this year, like, you have to see this as much as I was last year about it, because Nightmare Fuel is still great. It's still epic. But they do a lot. They do some things like the basic storyline this year is very similar to last year's. So some of the tricks return, which they're great tricks, and then they add some new, quite a bit of new stuff. There's way more fire tricks this year. Yeah. Bella, what did you think of Nightmare Fuel this year?
I didn't see either show.
I loved it, and I loved it even more when Harry Styles started playing at the end. That was like the biggest jump scare I had that night. It scared me so bad, but it was good. I was kind of like sad that it's the same storyline.
Yeah,
but I couldn't really think of any other storyline that would work. But like the new songs are so good.
Yeah,
the new dances are good. I like how they reinvented a lot of like the more popular stuff from last year, or the more iconic stuff from last year. The tricks are good. They're insane. It's good. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend it to you guys. Since you guys have, oh, you saw it, Adam.
Yeah. But like to the listeners at home, like if you never saw last year's show, but you heard how great last year's show was, like maybe you only went one day, you didn't have time, like maybe you went on a Saturday. Oh boy. They busy.
Yeah.
Even September this year, my gosh. But the if you heard so much about last year's, you're interested in doing it, but you didn't get to do it last year, definitely check it out this year. Like it's still solid. Like it's a good original show that Universal's doing. I think personally, like, again, great show. I'm not saying anything bad about it. But I think I would have preferred something with as much creativity as that first Nightmare Fuel done this year, as opposed to Nightmare Fuel again, which I didn't think I wanted. I think I wanted Nightmare Fuel again, but maybe I just wanted that, like, to get my mind blown, like, because I'd never seen anything like Nightmare Fuel at a theme park before. Yeah, but still mighty impressive.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's such a trip. And then Harry Styles at the end, like, what more could you want?
I don't know.
Bella's dreams came true.
I don't know.
I did. What?
Billie Eilish.
Oh, Billie.
Billie Eilish house.
Billie, if you're listening to this, come back.
Rest in peace. I love Billie Eilish, but I rest in peace that house. That was great. My house idea. I'm so sad still. I'll never get over it.
Yeah.
Never.
Unless they make a Gaga house, then maybe I'll get over
they
it.
need to. They have to. Universal, I know you're listening to this.
Of course they are. They're our biggest fans.
I mean, I know some team members who are listening to this, so at least one is listening.
Tell the higher up.
At least one. Hi, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Jonathan. Sorry, took your place.
I was like, I had a panic. Like,
but I'm not that sorry.
Jonathan, you're listening. You know what to do. You know what to do.
Tell them. Let them know.
Let them know. Okay, so I think we've teased before, like, we're going to do our rankings later this season, so make sure you subscribe, follow, however you're going to go about it. Let us know your rankings, though, right now. Like, we got comments, maybe not on, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So jump over to YouTube, leave a comment below, like the video. You know what they say to do on YouTube. Do that here. But yeah, let us know your rankings. But before we wrap up, because I think we can talk about Tribute Store and All Hallows later. I feel like we're definitely like getting on the longer end. So last question, why should or shouldn't someone go this year? Maybe it's their first time or their 30th time. Why is this year a great year or not so great year to go?
If you love classic Halloween, if not just for the merch alone, you should go. All jokes aside, they do a great job with the classic Halloween vibe. It's a fantastic year for houses. I feel like they're not all in my top, but some of them are just really, really solid. And I feel like there weren't a lot of misses for me as far as houses or scare zones or even merch. So the merch was really good this year. Obviously you can get a lot of it at All Hallows, but just go to the event. It's great. I had a great time. It was everything I wanted.
Yeah, I definitely would say the same things you did. Like, if you're thinking about going and you're nervous, just go. Just go and bite the bullet. That's exactly what I did last year. And look at me now. Just go and do it. Like, even if you don't want to do houses, you don't have to do houses. There's so many other things you can do. And if you don't want to be scared, you could also bypass scare zones while still seeing them. You could just go see shows, try all the fun food, see the merch. Like, there's so much you could do even if you think you're going to be too scared to do it. But I say give it a try because, I mean, you don't know until you do it. Because you might surprise yourself. So just do it.
Yeah, that's true. I would say this is a great year to go because it is a great year to celebrate Halloween. Like, that's what this event is doing so well. It's Halloween, the only way Halloween Horror Nights can do it. This event has some of the, it's amazing artistry, and that's front and center in so many of these houses. I know we talked about Deadman's Pier, like that's a beautiful house, but you also see it in the passion of the cast and in these scare zones. It's fun to watch other people be scared, and the food is tasty. So like, there's so much to enjoy. It's a Halloween party, and it is scary the first time. I swore like a sailor my first time doing Horror Nights. It was an event you only get to see once, apparently, because I haven't done it since. But like it's such a good time, and yeah. If you're going to go to a Halloween event this year, granted, this is the one I've done, but I feel like this is a great one to go to if you like spooky vibes.
Spooky vibes.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show for today. I'm so glad. I don't even have to say thank you for joining, Kelly and Bella, because I mean, I am thank you for joining because you're here, but you're a cast now. You're theme park workshop. But where can the people find you if they want to, follow you on social media?
I am on Instagram at Kelly with an EY, D Hoffman. I post mostly just things of my life, but I do post a lot of theme park stuff on there because theme parks are my life. And then on Twitter, you could find me at killer_Kells with an S at the end. Yeah. Hit me up. I'm always happy to have new friends on there.
Yeah, and you went viral for like a week with your Oogie Boogie Bash.
Yes,
I did, and we'll have to have an episode about that because Oogie Boogie Bash was so cool, and I'm going to Not So Scary, and we can do a comparison episode. I think that would be cool.
I think so too.
Spoiler alert for future episodes. But yeah, I did briefly go viral. But if you guys find me on either of those, feel free to send me a message and tell me you're listening to the podcast because I would love to talk to you about it.
Yes, my Instagram is at FlynnRidersNose. And I'm on Twitter at Bella Harvey with 2 Y's at the end. Come hang out, come get bombarded with Harry Styles and Disney and Horror Nights and Harry Styles, and it's a fun time over there. Come say hi.
And you can find me at AdamJ_film on Twitter. Follow the show too at Workshop TP on Twitter. Now that we're back in action, there's going to be posts on there and all that. Instagram Theme Park Workshop, because on Twitter Theme Park Workshop Too Long Instagram, they give you the characters you need. And of course, on the YouTubes, on the Spotify, on the Google Podcasts, or YouTube Podcasts. I don't know if it's changed yet. And Spotify, like wherever you listen to your podcasts, definitely come and check out more of the show. We'll love to have you. Comment if you're on YouTube what you think about Horror Nights, what you're excited for to experience when you go to your first time, all that jazz. And with that, thank you, Bella and Kelly, for joining me. And thank y'all for listening.
Bye.